Well, we're introduced to a number of the participants in the Chunin exam in this chapter, but really what Naruto did at the end, it didn't surprise me, but I loved it.
Naruto number 39, The Challengers.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure-filled tale of Naruto. Our last chapter saw us with, of course, Rock Lee being chastised by his master, Master Guy, who we found out is the arch-rival of Kakashi. And really, we also wound up finding out Sakura, of course, decided to actually enter in the Chunin exams, and we find out at the end of the chapter from Master Kakashi that really it's either all or none. Either the whole cell of all three of them, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto, had to, submit applications, or none of them could. So very cool stuff to see that. And then, of course, that's how the chapter ended off with the kind of like, let's go get them, you know. This chapter goes and picks up right after that. They walk into the room, and boy, I tell you, you can just feel it's like blood in the water, man. Walking into a Shark Tank, they walk in, and you just see the faces of all of these different perspective Chunin. And I mean, these are the elite. These are the best from all around, all around the world, or all around in these surrounding 5 or 6 villages. They also wind up mentioning, too, about this small, lesser-known village, the Village of Sound, and that kind of plays in at the end of the chapter as well. But there was a lot of stuff, a lot of names, and a lot of people that were introduced, and a lot of things that were dropped, so I'm trying to wrap my head around all of it. They formally introduced and gave a little bit of a bio on each one of the other two cells that are actually participating as well. Cells 9 and 10, I think they are, and Kurenai's and Asuma's, I believe. And those characters, to tell you the truth, a lot of them were really, there wasn't anything great about them. There was a character, though, that was introduced, though, after we kind of get this whole breakdown of these cells. What winds up happening is really just, it's kind of some shit-talking amongst some of the other, some of the other applicants. And, and Naruto and his crew, of course, talking to the other cell, cell 9 or 10 or whatever it is. And, like I said, again, just kind of some shit talking here. But I think a lot of them really probably at this point feel overmatched because they're the youngest applicants. They're, of course, the rookies, their first time trying. This is apparently something that you can try, I believe, a couple times a year, because they run into this guy, Kabuto is his name, I think. Is that what his name is over there? I forget. Thought it was Kabuto. Yep, Kabuto. And they run into this dude, this little fellow with little glasses and whatnot, Kabuto, and he's what he's done is he's like pulled these dossier cards, and he has these shinobi cards. It almost reminds me of like magic cards or something like that. But he's got these cards, and you have to use your chakra, of course, to unlock them. But he's got everything from maps to dossiers on people and everything else. And he winds up saying that, that this is not as easy as it looks, and he really starts out by going, and Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura think that he's kind of talking shit to him. In reality, he's just like, listen, this is the 7th time I've taken this in 4 years. I've been taking it twice a year. The so-and-so from the rain, village or whatever behind you, they got real short tempers. I don't want to see them to get their asses kicked before they're getting real antsy waiting, so he's kind of just trying to be cool and warn them. So then we go and we find out about some of these dossiers and some of these cards that he actually has on people, and he says, and then they ask, do you have any actual files on any of the applicants and everything else? And he says, yeah, I've amassed one on this year's, this year's Perspective Chunin, right? So then Sasuke immediately asks about Gaara, as well as Rock Lee, and he pulls the dossiers on both of them. We find out that Rock Lee is, in fact, a student of this master guy. They mention the other two that are in his cell as well, and I know one of them was 1010, and I forget the name of the other one that was in the cell. But he, obviously he trains under this, under Guy. I forget what Guy's actual last name is, but nonetheless, though, he's been on a ton of missions, 20 D ranked, 11 C ranked, the guy's, even though he's one of the best perspective, I guess, students, they said, and his taijutsu is just unmatched, but he really doesn't have any other skills of note, right, on this dossier. However, this is his, even though he was qualified and able to last year, this is his first year taking the Chunin exams. He did not take them last year, so he is still considered a rookie as far as that goes. And then it goes and it gives a little information on Gaara. They've referred to him as the spook from the Sand Kingdom, and or the Sand Village. And and they explained a little bit about him and, you know, some of the missions he's been on. He was actually on a B-ranked mission, which is unheard of for somebody, you know, obviously as young as him. But the one interesting thing that I thought, because we don't know what his abilities are yet, is that he comes back from every mission completely unscathed. Not a scratch, not a, you know, not a dent, ding, nothing. And I thought that was kind of worth noting as well. So it was neat to see these kind of backgrounds, and really this was kind of everybody feeling out each other a little bit, I think, before the shit hits the fan and actually seeing, you know, what happens in these particular exams. And like I said, just getting introduced to a number of different characters, you know, which was pretty cool. I mean, come to think of it, you know, because you get this background on some of the different characters and some of the villages they're from and everything else. Now, like I said, this guy Kabuto winds up mentioning that there is, you know, that there's the 5 villages that we know of, and then there's this 6th one that's a little bit less known, the Village of Sound, and that winds up playing in at the end over here because he does mention that, right? So anyway, so Kakashi's standing outside the door, and he's kind of having a little bit of like an inner monologue and thinking back to when he actually went and, you know, made his pledges for the, you know, for his cell and everything else. And Master Guy was actually there, the one that's in charge of Rock Lee's cell, and he's saying, you know, you should wait another year and this and that and everything else. And Kakashi, you know, kind of just had this, like, this sly look on his face, like this was all set up to begin with. And I think part of it is that he number one, he tells Rock Lee during this little flashback, you know, when they did the selections and he put them up to be in the Chunin exam. He said my the surprises that my cell has in store are just crazy. You know what I mean? They're wild cards, right? And they don't give up very easily, that type of situation. And they're gonna leave your cell in the dust, you know. So I think part of it's that he has a lot of confidence in his group, and I think part of it is this brooding rivalry, this rivalry between him and Guy. Don't really know yet, though. We'll find out more as it goes on. So nonetheless, though, Naruto looks like he's kind of all quiet and thinking to himself, and Sakura is going, and she's actually kind of feeling for him. She's like, you know, normally he's the loudmouth idiot, but, you know, maybe he even needs a pep talk over here because this is overwhelming. There's a lot of these different characters, and they're, of course, the youngest the youngest ones, and you see some of these different, you know, shinobi and whatnot, and they're, you know, 2, 3, 4 years older, bigger than you. They, you know, and you're just thinking, wow, it's intimidating, it's overwhelming, right? So she goes to say something to Naruto, right? And he just goes and busts out. She's like, Naruto, are you okay, buddy? You know? And then they get this whole page thing of him just yelling out, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, and none of you are gonna beat me. You got that? And Kakashi's just standing outside the door and just kind of gets this smile and this look like, oh god, you know. So this is funny, and then he's just like, that felt great, you know. So the last page though winds up ending up, you see a number of these different characters, you know, Gaara and his group, obviously. And then they're talking about, hey, didn't we meet them earlier, and blah blah blah. And then we go and we get these fellas from the Village of Sound. They're talking about how they're basically, it seems like they're a little bit butthurt that they're playing second fiddle, that there's not a lot of information on them, that there's not a lot of background bio on them and stuff like that. So it looks like they're just going to cause some trouble over here. We get something to the effect of, so according to this dossier, our town is an unknown little village in a backwater country. Mortifying, isn't it? Want to have some fun with them? Sounds good. That twit treating us like some kind of afterthought. Let's give him a little data for his dossier. His understanding of the village of Hidden in Sound is unsound. And then we'll see where the intelligence is lacking. Anyway, so I just, like I said, I don't know really what to think of that because we haven't been introduced to those characters. I just assume that that's kind of a troublemaker cell. You know, and one of those type of deals, too, where they're like, whatever, we're living in the shadow of some of these other better, greater, more well-known villages. So I don't know, they're going to try to start some shit, it seems like, with Kabuto. But all in all, a very, very cool chapter, though. Like I said, introduced to a ton of different characters, which I'm sure as the Chunin exams progress, we'll kind of see which ones are important and which ones play a part and play front and center. But at this point, like I said, this chapter was very cool, but very much an information overload as far as seeing. And we've only scratched the surface on some of the actual contestants or participants in the Chunin exam. So, brothers and sisters, though, my chapter question for you is ultimately, what did you think about Naruto and the way he just kind of came out was like, I'm new Naruto Uzumaki, and ain't none of you gonna beat me. You know, some people would think, well, you know, he's being cocky, he's being overconfident, but at the same time, I think that's just sort of, that's his deal, that's his style, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool to see it. It definitely is something that I smiled, and it kind of touched my heart, because here's this kid that he may not, you know, he hasn't fully realized his potential, obviously, But you know, I feel like there is a lot of greatness within him. He's unsure of that yet at this point. But I just love that that he kind of just comes out with these things and just sort of blurts these things out. And then so far, at least, he's been able to back him up. He's been able to back up, you know, his voice, his words with action. So very cool stuff. But what are your thoughts, though, brothers and sisters? Leave them in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Yeah, I know this guy is from Bleach, but if you'd like to see more drawings like this, go over and check me out on my other channel, and follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well.